Welcome to FRC Media News for Thursday, September 12th, 2019. I'm Keith Tebow. We have the latest developments as the city deals with the second arrest of Mayor Jaziel Correa. And with the preliminary election next Tuesday, we hear from the mayoral candidates and see how the Elections Commission is preparing voters for new voting machines. But let's start out by talking about the headline issues of the week, and there's really only been one over the past week. Let's bring in Phil Devitt, the digital news editor at the Herald News. Phil, welcome back. How are you?
Thank you, Keith. It's good to be back. I'm doing fine, but wow, what a busy week news-wise here in Fall River. It
definitely has been. Let's just recap from a week ago. A lot happened since we last had this program. Mayor Correa was arrested last Friday and charged with 11 federal counts of conspiracy, extortion, and bribery. The mayor was arraigned, pled not guilty, and was released on bail. Now, the details of the arraignment from last week allege that the mayor extorted some $600,000 from 4 individuals in exchange for the non-opposition letters to operate a recreational marijuana dispensary. Another incident had to deal with an alleged extortion of money and a Rolex watch from an individual looking for permits on a water project in the city's South End. And finally, the mayor was accused of bribery in seeking half the salary of his former chief of staff, Jen Andrade, in exchange for her retaining her job. Now, Ms. Andrade, along with 3 other individuals, Hindegar Camara, Tony Costa, and David Hebert, were also charged with extortion, conspiracy, and providing false statements in the case. Now, there's word that some of these individuals have cooperated with authorities as part of a plea deal. So, Phil, just looking at what happened last Friday, that whole series of events, this is definitely not good news for the mayor in terms of some of the dealings that he's had. And this is on top, of course, the 13 indictments which he had last October dealing with his snow owl operation and business that he had before he became mayor.
Yeah, Keith. I mean, it's not been a pretty picture for Mayor Correa really since at least October, when the first indictment was handed down. I think it was 13 counts associated with wire and tax fraud. These have been hanging over the mayor's head for a long time. This was expected to go to trial in February, which is now likely pushed back. And of course, looking at this through the lens of election season, the preliminary election coming up on the 17th, the mayor already had this cloud over his head, and then dealt another blow on Friday with another arrest and 11 new counts. So certainly not good for the mayor, and not a good look for the city either. We had the opportunity to speak to some business people here in the city who, say that this makes things a lot tougher to do business, and a lot tougher to project, the perception of Fall River as the great place that so many of us know it to be. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of ramifications to come out of this, Keith. Of course, legally, but also, for starters, from an economic development perspective. Wow. A lot of different corners to look into the fallout from this major development.
Now, since last Friday, you may remember back in October, the City Council failed to invoke an item in the charter that would deem the mayor incapable of holding office and removing him temporarily. Well, at a meeting this Tuesday of this week, the council decided again to remove the mayor. Now, prior to the meeting, these residents came out during citizens' input in support of and against that city council measure. Take a look.
Judge Macy has publicly stated that Section 3.8 of our charter, where it states, and I quote, "Whenever by reason of sickness or other causes the mayor is unable to perform the duties of the office, the president of the city council shall be acting mayor," end of quote. With all due the respect that Judge Macy deserves, I totally disagree with him when he stated that cause is too vague to act on it. How many causes do we have to specify? 1? 1,000? Being indicted twice in a few months is not enough?
I just think that it's wrong the way this is that you're going about it. I mean, the person that's sitting up here that initiated this paperwork wants his job. Under the 14th Amendment, you're innocent until proven guilty. He should be able to have his day in court just like any one of us would. I mean, we voted for him, not just once, but twice. And just like we vote for you. We vote for you people. And to just go and try to remove him for something that he didn't even have a day in court on is just wrong.
Also, prior to the vote, City Council President Cliff Ponte, the sponsor of the motion to temporarily remove the mayor, had this to say in justification of the mayor's removal.
As president of this council tonight, I'm respectfully requesting that the mayor step down until he resolves his legal matters or temporarily steps aside. But apparently he hasn't yet. I am sure that there will be some people here who say that the city council, or I'll take the heat for it, is challenging the city and will cost the taxpayers money. For those people, I'll counter that comment by saying not $1 will be spent if the mayor steps down. In addition, I'd like to conclude this by saying for those individuals or people who may be thinking that I'm lying or dying or wanting his seat as council president for the purpose of filing these resolutions, that is not the case. If I wanted his seat, I would have ran in the recall or I would have ran this fall. I'm simply just trying to step up for this community and be a leader as your council president.
I want to thank FRGTV for that meeting footage. Now, later on in the meeting, Phil, the council voted 8-1, with Councilor Steve Camara voting no to remove the mayor temporarily from office, effective 5 p.m. on Friday. But Phil, as you know, the mayor's been adamant, and he's continued to profess his innocence, and he's challenged the council's vote and will not resign or step away. And he spoke to reporters yesterday afternoon.
The section that the council refers to talks about sickness, talks about an inability to do the duties of mayor, and clearly that is not the case. In fact, one of the duties of being the mayor is to sign documents for city business to operate. Just this afternoon, I signed the document that Corporation Counsel sent over to my office, which basically states that he will be hiring legal counsel at our request for both the city council as well as the mayor. Obviously, if I was unable to perform my duties or I was being partial to one party, I would not sign this document. I'm saying if that's the council's decision that they want to, by eight people, take a vote to override the vote of thousands of people in a valid election, and they need counsel to fight that and try and take me to court to say that the 8 votes on the council supersede the thousands of voters that voted for me in the election, then as mayor, I'm going to agree to allow them to have counsel at the city taxpayers' expense, unfortunately, to try and get a judge to agree that that 8 people can override the votes of thousands of voters. I know there's questions about me, what happens on Friday at 5 o'clock. Well, at 5 o'clock, the building is closed, so I will leave the building and go home like every other city employee, and I will campaign all weekend like I do, and then I will be back on Monday morning at 9 a.m. I don't expect any police officers to be here. That power is not afforded to the city council. They cannot order the police to remove the mayor from the building, and we'll play it out. If they want to take it to court, they can take it to court. I've signed the document allowing them to do so, unfortunately at the taxpayers' expense, but that's where we're at.
So, Phil, the mayor is adamant, still calling this a political stunt on the part of the city council. What happens now? What will happen going forward? Or do we even know what will happen come Monday morning?
Well, one of the things we're doing here in this newsroom is constantly reminding ourselves that we've never quite been in this situation before here in the city. So as much as we want to look ahead to the next step, we don't necessarily know what that next step will be. As we just heard the mayor say, he plans to show up to work on Friday, as he has all week. And at 5 o'clock, which is the time the city council gave him as a deadline to, turn over his key, he'll leave the building, go campaign for the weekend, and show back up on Monday. The mayor says he anticipates a normal workday on Monday. We also get to catch up with city council president Cliff Ponte to ask him, what happens if the mayor does not relinquish his power on Friday. And Ponte tells us, look, we're not going to put on a show here. We're not going to, form a barricade. I believe Cliff told us he's not planning to set up shop on the 6th floor to make sure the mayor doesn't enter. But they are, both sides, I think, the mayor and the city council, ready with their hand on the button for legal advice and pursuing a legal course of action if necessary. So this could very well go to the courts, as we reported this week. One of the big things here, Keith, is that you have supporters of the mayor, including, I believe, City Councilor Stephen Camara, saying, the mayor is very much able to do his job. He's not incapacitated. Mm-hmm. He's able to move around. He's articulating himself. But then you have the people on the other side saying, well, look, of course the courts decide if you are guilty or innocent. But the very fact that you have these charges hanging over your head as the leader of a city calls into question your ability to get the job done effectively. So that's where they're coming from on this.
Yeah, I think it's all going to come down. I think eventually it will be decided in court. And I guess in some ways it may give some more clarity to the city moving forward in the event that the city council would need to invoke this part of the charter again on whether they can legally remove a mayor temporarily under the verbiage of other cause that many councilors say that this falls under in terms of the removal of the mayor. So there's definitely been a lot going on, and of course with the connection to the alleged extortion counts against the mayor on the 4 letters of non-opposition for marijuana dispensaries, the legislative delegation earlier this week sent a letter to the Cannabis Control Commission to have them take a look at possibly either a moratorium on issuing licenses in Fall River, or at least taking a look at what may have happened in this case in relation to those 4 individuals that are looking for licenses. Do we have any update on that?
Right. So Representatives Viola, Schmid, and Sylvia sent a letter together to the Cannabis Control Commission, which of course is the license issuing authority here in the state, basically laying out the situation and saying, look, let's not approve any of these facilities until more information comes to light about the businesses involved in this indictment. Of course, these marijuana businesses were not named in the indictment, so there's still some vague territory here about who gave what to whom. And the CCC responded this week and said, we have no plans to take any action at the moment. We have 2 meetings this week. No Fall River business is expected to come before us. But when the time comes, we're going to seek more information about the businesses in question before we do anything. And then a breaking news story just today, Keith, is that Representative Chris Markey from over in New Bedford and Dartmouth has filed a bill to have to basically void marijuana businesses from opening here in Fall River. Any business that submitted an application prior to September 6th, the day the mayor was arrested. That's a breaking story. There might be more information on that within the day. Right. But another legislator throwing his hat in the ring to try to stall marijuana businesses here in the city.
So there's a lot going on, and of course there'll be an election next week. I'm sure that'll dominate our conversation a week from now. But until then, Phil, what else is the newspaper covering over the next few days?
Well, we are still digging our hands into this indictment almost a week later, trying to peel back the layers for people because there is so very much involved. So we're just going to keep hammering home at that and try our best to cover everything else that's happening in this city. And of course, we're looking forward to the election on Tuesday. It'll be a memorable day for sure.
All right, Phil, thanks for joining us. We'll talk next week. Thanks.
Thank you, Keith.
We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. IT professional, Primacare, located at 277 Pleasant Street, is looking for an IT professional to perform network management, software development, database administration, and provide technical support and training to employees. Job number 125-76806. Head Chef Infused Products, Northeast Alternatives Marijuana Dispensary, located at 999 William S. Canning Boulevard, is looking for a full-time head chef infused products, responsible for navigating day-to-day kitchen operations, producing innovative products infused with cannabis oils and isolates. Job number 125-79164. Psychologist, Steward Health Care System, located at 795 Middle Street, is looking to hire a full-time psychologist to provide child and family services in an interdisciplinary outpatient medical setting. Job number 125-71326. Fall River Public School Department, located at 417 Rock Street, is looking to fulfill the following full and part-time positions. English as a second language, second grade teacher, job number 125-80333. After school teacher, job number 125-80310. Burlington Stores Incorporated, located at 181 Mariano Bishop Boulevard, is also looking to fulfill the following full and part-time positions. Store Loss Prevention Specialist, job number 125-72995. Retail Sales Associate, job number 125-72996. For more information on these or other positions, visit masshirejobquest.detma.org or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. Amid all the news surrounding the mayor, as we mentioned earlier, there will be a preliminary election for mayor this Tuesday. Election Commission Chair Kelly Souza Young says she's been in touch with state election officials and the election will move forward regardless of the issues currently facing Mayor Correa. Now, earlier this week, the office tested out new voting machines that voters will face when they go to the polls. And for those voters, they'll likely see not too much that's different.
Once they put their ballot in the machine, they can see to make sure that everything went through. I know there's been issues in other states. They don't have this luxury of having paper ballots like we do, so it shows that they did vote. It also is better on reporting night, so when all the reports come in, it'll be quicker to get because we used to use an old machine and now it's a laptop with thumb drive, so it'll be able to go quicker.
Now, the person voting, they're not going to see anything different other than this screen, right?
They'll also see on the actual ballot itself. We used to close arrows, now we put a fill in the oval.
So the person walks up to the machine, the box, to push in their ballot, and what's it going to say on the screen? What are they looking for?
They're going to look for, it says, thank you for voting, and then a welcome screen will pop up.
And what happens if they did something wrong?
Well, it'll show on the screen that'll say maybe they didn't vote for, they left a blank ballot, or if they overvoted. Those are usually the two main reasons why it wouldn't go through the machine.
And the machine's going to spit the ballot back out?
Well, it'll let you know, do you want to return it? There's going to be buttons on the screen that'll say, do you want to return it, or do you want to cast it the way it is? We do have the automark, which is the handicap accessible. It's for hearing impaired and visually impaired, where they put the ballot in that machine, mark their choices, it prints it out, and then they come over to this machine and do it.
And this machine will prompt them?
Yes.
Good or bad?
Yes.
Very clear. Anything else that voters should know going to the polls next week?
Get out and vote.
And what about those three candidates? Well, we spoke with Erica Scott Pacheco, Paul Coogan, and Mayor Correa prior to the mayor's recent arrest. We asked them a series of questions about the issues of the campaign. One of particular note as it relates to the events of this week is the ability of a mayor to work with the city council, school committee, and other elected officials.
So I have already had demonstrated success in working with the partners in government. Notably, I really led on organizing against the proposed Invenergy fracking plant in Rhode Island that really amazingly was defeated. $35 million in legal fees alone, $1 billion in investment into dirty fossil fuel that we don't need, that is unwanted. And with community organizing here in Fall River and in Rhode Island, we were able to defeat that plant. Now, the reason that it impacted Fall River is that Jason Correa's administration made a secretive deal via the Watauga Water Board to sell your drinking water to a fracking plant. It wasn't even a good deal, because you look at the deals that other cities in Rhode Island got, and we were actually giving our water away for a 90% discount. So even if you are an oil baron in North Dakota and you think that fracking is the greatest thing since sliced bread, this was a terrible deal because we were giving our water away for almost no money. The reservation fee that we took was $25,000, and Woonsocket got offered $900,000 and some ball fields for kids. Anyway, I worked with the city council to educate them about this deal because they had no idea. Again, this deal was all in secret. It was made in August and it didn't come out until the contract was leaked to a reporter in Rhode Island in October, and this was in 2016. So I worked with the city council with subcommittees. I had one-on-one conversations to inform them about what happened, to educate them about why this was a problem, and ultimately they all agreed. I don't know about you, but unfortunately it's pretty uncommon for all 9 city councilors to agree about anything, because there has been a lot of gridlock and discord, especially with Jason Correa at the helm. But anyway, the city council agreed, and they passed not 1 but 2 resolutions, one against the water deal and one against the plant itself. And I really thank the city councilors for their leadership, and that was accomplished through a mutually beneficial and respectful relationship. So I'm going to continue to use those skills as mayor and to work with the city council and the school committee, because we are partners in government.
I think that that's something we can do so much better. When we first got elected, Jazel came in the same time that I did, and he had explained to us at a meeting with the council and the school committee how things were going to be different. We were going to meet regularly, we were going to discuss issues, and we were going to go to his office, and we weren't going to violate any open meeting laws. I respected him for that, because we don't want to do that. He brought us to his office one time. I think I went up there with Eddie Costa, and we talked to him once about some issues that were in the schools. That was it. It ended after that. We never went back up. I've been there with him 4 years. He never called me to meet him for coffee, although before the campaign I did. I plan on sitting down with these guys and having conversations with them, just like we're talking today. Hey, Cliff, Derek, what do you need? What can we do to make the city better? Can I help you? What are you thinking of? What's your ideas? That's what it takes. Conversations and building relationships with all of your local officials and your state officials and your federal officials. If you can do that, you'll make Fall River stronger.
Well, I'll be very frank with the answer. You know, the city council, not all of them, but many of the city councilors seem to not be able to get past their own personal feelings about me. That's their issue. And I tell people this all the time. That's their problem. They are getting paid to represent the citizens of Fall River. They should be doing their best to make the city a better place. So when you have city councilors voting against the interests of the people, taking votes to limit marijuana when they are attracting marijuana companies to their own community of Seekonk, when you have city councilors saying that there's no way that the stormwater fee will ever get eliminated because it won't even make it out of committee, they don't even want to have a discussion, when they don't want the mayor to attend the meeting and answer questions directly to the public like we're doing here today, that's a council that, as a whole, not individually, but as a whole, does not have the best interests of the citizens of Fall River. And that is their problem. That's not the city's problem. That's their problem if they cannot get past those personal issues that they have, amongst themselves even. So what I would say is that the voters have to really watch the city council race. Don't let these people get away with that. And at the end of the day, I am always here to extend an olive branch and to have a positive outlook and a positive city.
And just a reminder, the polls on Tuesday will open at 7 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. You can hear our entire interview with the candidates over the weekend on Channel 95 or online at FRmedia.org. Also join us as we partner with FRG-TV to provide live coverage of the results on election night. We'll be back right after this.
Thank you for considering a homeless pet today. I hope you enjoy what you're about to see, and as always, please feel free to contact the shelter before coming down to make sure that the pets you're viewing are still available for adoption. We can be reached at 508-677-9154.
Today on Hot Dogs and Cool Cats, we have guinea pigs. At Forever Paws, we have 6 male guinea pigs, which are the ones that you see now. The calico one came from a different litter, and the other boys all came from the same mom. They are 8 weeks old. Guinea pigs are very easy to care for. They do enjoy their vegetables and their leafy greens. Guinea pigs are very social animals, and they do better in pairs. If you're interested in adopting a guinea pig or want to learn more about them, come on down to Forever Paws, 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Mass. And we would be glad to help you out. Today on Hot Dogs and Cool Cats, we have Trevor. Trevor is a 1-year-old, long-haired cat. He is very fun. He loves to play. Some cats he likes, some cats he doesn't. He's kind of picky in that way. Cats can live up to 20 years, sometimes more. Trevor would probably do very well with children. As you can tell, he is laid back for the most part. If you're interested in coming down and looking at this handsome fellow, come on down to 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Mass. At Forever Paws Animal Shelter and see all the cuties that we have, especially this handsome man.
That's going to do it for this edition of FRC Media News. You can watch FRC Media News Thursdays and Fridays at 6 p.m. and join us online 24/7 at frcmedianews.org. We will leave you today with a sample from the 9/11 tribute concert held last weekend at Bristol Community College to benefit the fund to construct the Fall River Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall. I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great week. Remember to vote on Tuesday. We'll see you next Thursday. Bye.